Okay, welcome to the Who Cares podcast. Today we've got Kat Seddon from Beanbag Care and Vic from Unicare. Kat, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Yep, so I am a business development manager for Beanbag Care with Secure, and I've got a bit of a care background in care homes, community, and obviously in the NHS. So
Brilliant. And Vic, you've obviously introduced yourself a few times on this podcast, but for anyone listening new...
Yes, I'm Vic, and I look after the supported living under Unicare.
Perfect, brilliant. So today we're going to talk a little bit about prevention versus...
Reaction.
Excellent. Kat, do you want to just give us a bit of an overview about what you mean by that?
Yeah, so looking in technology as well within prevention versus reaction. So a lot of people look at things that we use after something's happened. So after they've been in hospital and how we then have to use technology or in general anything of equipment to help support someone, which actually then ends up being quite costly. And whereas having something to look at prevention to help them guide that way and identify things sooner rather than later reduces that strain on costs of things later on, and actually helps that person a lot sooner rather than later.
So you're kind of talking about, somebody becomes really unwell, they then go and seek help, but actually we're looking at 100%. Trying to move it into that preventative, stopping them from becoming unwell in the first place.
We want to see it before than instead of after, so we can identify things and not have that escalation period of something deteriorating and going even further and causing a longer, prolonged ill health.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess this is kind of some of the things that carers do as part of their job. They recognise things when they go in, but I guess there'll be times where you don't have care or where people who are so busy trying to do their jobs, they don't necessarily recognise there's any deterioration.
Yes, we have a lot of that within the domiciliary care, so they can go in once a day, 4 times a day, but like you say, they're there to do time and task. There's certain things from the local authority and the social workers that we have to do, but they are really key to noticing the soft signs of deterioration, but having tech in that could pick up if somebody's dehydrated or somebody hasn't had enough drink that day would be really key to some of the things that we do. Even in some of our 24-hour supported living units would be like that as well.
Do you think as well it actually would then reduce the cost of care packages altogether, because actually you may not need the care after all that?
Yeah, so obviously we're always trying to technically do ourselves out of a job.
Yes.
And we want everybody to, get better, and when somebody goes out and does the social worker to do the initial, what does this person need, especially if they've come out of hospital. There's a set amount of time, 4 visits a day, 30 minutes each normally, and so much to do within that time. And we normally have like a 6 to 8 week part where we go, we don't need it, or we need more time, or things aren't in place like, technology and equipment that we might need.
And I think you said on one of the other little sessions that we were talking about earlier, we you look at someone going in at a set time, like you said, time and task, where if you had someone that is already up and dressed, that's causing that carer to go out for an unnecessary visit. But actually, if you looking at the preventative measures and you look at seeing their behaviours by having something in place, you can actually go, we need to adjust that time so we can go and see her sooner rather than later to help her with the washing and dressing in the shower if that's what she needs, or actually we can go a little bit later because she's not up yet. So let's make that a delayed visit and then go and do her later so she's more comfortable and she's got her rest.
It makes it more person-centred, and I think it makes the care that you deliver a bit more fluid as well.
100%,
if they've had a really bad night, they don't want to be getting up at 7 when their visits come in, and I'm going to be grumpy if somebody wakes me up at 7 if I've not gone to sleep until 3 o'clock in the morning. So for us to already know that, and then for the carers, because they know these clients and they know them and they're person-centred, to go, actually, we'll let her sleep in till 10 and then we'll go get them up.
If I had a care visit over the last few weeks, obviously with fireworks that have been going off, my dog has kept me awake most of the nights, and I've gone up and got myself a drink and kept myself, and backwards and forwards, and obviously then I've needed the loo. So if I had a care visit booked in for 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'd tell you to jog on because I'd be agitated and I'd want to have that rest because obviously I've had that agitated night.
I think there's something to be said here as well around how difficult it is once you get care, because often it's easier to stop care going in and not kind of start down that road of having support. But once you receive it, it's a lot more difficult to take it away and reduce care packages because people get reliant on it.
They do, yeah, and it's all about enabling them to be able to live as independent as possible. But back to the time and task, it's such a short time that they get, especially with dom care.
Yeah.
And they have to go in and do certain things. So within supported living, we may be able to enable somebody to make a cup of tea. Yes. Especially after they've, something that they used to do but then couldn't because they've gone into hospital. And we've got the time to be able to do that, especially within domiciliary care. They don't have that. So they want to be able to do it and they want to encourage them, but they're always thinking about the next person they've got to get onto.
Absolutely.
So to have that fluid transition of, we know that they got up late or we know they've got an appointment here, and be able to mix that before going in and the carer having to do it themselves.
Absolutely.
Be key.
And I think as well, people's conditions are very variable. So if you are supporting them when they need support and not necessarily supporting them when they don't, a bit like you do in supported living. So you guys do a fantastic job of, like you say, supporting where it's needed, but keeping hands off when it's not. It enables that person to stay independent for a lot longer. Yeah. But actually that impacts their health, their well-being as well. So it means that they're healthier and feeling better overall for longer. So using technology to be able to understand which points in their journey they need support and which points they don't might actually help. I think that's a really good point. So when it comes to prevention, what does that look like, Kat? What kind of technology, what will the technology do to help prevent?
Oh, there's a lot out there on the market these days, us having our own at Beanbag, but it has to be the right thing for the right person, and as Vicky said, is person-centred, making sure it's it's not one size fits all. So I believe that you need to identify what they need. So is it that we monitor their sleep to help look at early signs of intervention, to identify something sooner rather than later? And obviously, like I said earlier, you've got that escalation period of something like a UTI deteriorating, and it ends up with them being in hospital with a broken hip because they've fallen. Where if we identified that earlier, it could be just simply as going to the doctors and getting some antibiotics, and that's a big, change, because obviously if they did have that fall, that's increasing the care package, which puts more stress on you as a care provider to go from like 2 care visits to 5 care visits, or potentially a double up. Which is a massive shift, or going into a care home, and obviously that's another financial burden for them as well, and a cost factor. So looking at preventative measures I think is very key, and I think the health sector is moving into that predict and prevent way of working.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, the kind of range of things, and you've got everything from, both of you now look like you're wearing smartwatches. Yeah. So Vic, does yours tell you when you're being lazy and sitting down too long and it says get up and move around?
It does.
Do you get up and move around?
Sometimes.
I think this is part of the problem with this prevention piece as well. So you have to have buy-in, don't you? That the person that's using it is actually going to listen to the advice that's kind of generated by it. And also I find some... and I don't want to mention names, but there are hypochondriacs out there that may go, oh gosh, my heart rate's now 2 beats per minute higher than I need to ring the doctor.
I need to go to A&E.
Absolutely. Do you think this kind of technology is going to increase the amount of people that are worried and stressed about their health because they're getting more and more data about it? Or do you think that's going to be helping in some way?
I think it will help them, and especially, as we call them, responders, their loved ones, their families. I think it's going to give them the reassurance and having the information when they need it, not having loads of information and being flooded with data. With us, we only give information when it's required with our system. So it's about giving them back a bit of freedom, because obviously we've got loved ones that, we've had someone that's gone after work, sat there and watched all the recording of what's happened from cameras with the system they had before. So that anxiety of worried that that her mum's fallen in the background while she's been at work. But actually now she's got the system and she hasn't got to worry about it because
she knows she'll be informed.
She'll be informed, and it's only the right information at the right time. So I think there's a lot of stuff, even with other technology providers that are out there that the predict and prevent is, I think just getting that little bit I think it's not going to escalate and have, I need to do this, I need to go that way. I think my nan's the worst one. She's a real massive hypochondriac. If she ever listens to this, she'll probably kill me. But she is always phoning up an ambulance for the slightest thing. And about if she had this, actually, I think it might actually relax her as a user as well. As well as my dad being potentially would be a responder. So
it's I mean, there's a lot of technology now that will monitor things like long-term conditions. So my dad, diabetic, has a patch on, and it actually links to his phone, so he can see what his blood sugars are. And that's quite a high population of people with, for example, learning disabilities may have diabetes. Does any of your clients have things like that at the moment?
No, I know of one that we have in our dom care side of things, and it's actually linked to her own phone and then to her sister's phone.
Okay.
But it would be the same within supported living. Yeah. It would be family. If they didn't have that, it would probably be one of our team leaders. It would be the house phone, because we have people that are always on 24/7. But I think knowledge is key. So I think some people will over panic, from what you said. But I think as long as the people that are helping them set it up and install it, set the boundaries and say, this is what it is, I think it would really help. But it's having that talk, my mum worries about things. She's just asked me to put a tracker on her phone, so when she walks the dog, just in case she has to fall off a cliff. Yeah. She's 70, I can then find her location. It's things like that, but not going too much, because she doesn't even do online banking. Yes. But she's wanted that as a safety measure. Yeah. So it's all about knowledge.
Looking at the diabetic thing, it's like people don't preempt illness, do they, as well? So having something in situ, it gives them that sort of thing. They're not looking at it later, they're looking at it live
as it happens,
and as it happens. Yeah. So I think that's what preventative measures are looking at.
Absolutely. I think for me, and I guess this probably kind of is echoed in the care sector as well, as an occupational therapist, when I've been doing things like reablement work, and I should imagine physios, speech and language therapists, anybody that tells somebody to follow a regime or an intervention will expect them to do it and go back in a visit in a week or 2 weeks later and think that something will have changed. But actually, we don't know what happens, and your client would say to you, yes, I've followed everything you've told me, but the evidence in front of you is showing that it isn't. Something like this actually will help us be a lot more flexible and a lot more know if they're following it. Absolutely. And I guess for care as well, it is about those sort of situations where you think the person's doing something and actually they're not.
There's a lot of instances where we're not sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. We're not sure if they're drinking more, if they're dehydrated. We're not sure why they've got a UTI. Is it because they've been drinking or not drinking? There's lots that happen and lots of health issues. So to have that data that's so valid and that we know that's going to be really good information, we'll be able to pinpoint it. And it's all about being proactive. So put it in before they have to end up in hospital.
So we're all kind of on board that preventative is better than reactive, but obviously there's a barrier here. Do we think that there's the funding, there's the need, there's a want to be able to do this in the sector?
There's a 10-year plan for the NHS that's come out, and the three main core things, one of them is preventative care. So it is on the cards, and I think it's just making people aware and trying to get people to adapt the way of thinking into preventative measures. We look at things when we talk about DFGs and when we go out to events as well. A lot of people think about reactive, not preventative. So I think it's just making their minds think and just have that little moment to then have that light bulb moment that we all need.
It's tricky, isn't it?
And it is tricky to get it over.
Absolutely. And I think as well, it's this, we're used to what we're used to, and there is only a certain pot of money. And as you've quite highly well said, Vic, that you get given half an hour to ensure that person is safe, comfortable, washed, dressed, fed, given medication. It's a lot of stuff to do in 30 minutes, and that person is at the point of needing care. So they're more complex. They are, technology is not going to solve the difficulty of them not being able to dress themselves in the morning. So is there money? Is there budgets? Is there options to be able to shift the funding from that kind of complex need case to this preventative piece? And our local authorities and NHS Trust, even though all legislation and policy is saying we should do it, are we seeing a change? Are we seeing them move towards that?
I think what I've seen over the years is it's always on people's minds. I've worked for the local authority before. It's always been the digital side of things, or the e-platforms as they call it, over to trying to keep people, at home rather than into care homes. But there's that push behind it. Like you say, there's always been this barrier. I've been in and out of care for 25 years, and it has always been talked about. It's just then when somebody's going to do it. And COVID was a good time of when a lot of things became more digital.
Yeah.
We had to do things, and it did push people to do it. But there's always seemed to be this barrier.
I think it also depends on when they've got a pot of money, the local authorities. A few years back there was the adult social care funding, and there was a whole great big process, and stage 1, 2 and 3. And I know a lot of people did apply for the funding. I think we had a project that we were looking at with a couple of people, but it was, you had to go through all these different hoops, and at the end of it, not many people actually got the funding in the whole of the UK. I think there was only 4 or 5 people that actually it went through, when there was actually so much in that pocket of money that was there that never got used.
And I think it's that sort of sticky plaster situation. They're doing a bit to make the effort to integrate this new technology into the way that we do things. But what happens after these pilots and these grants and these projects are put out? I mean, where do you go exactly?
They need to rip the band-aid off and say we need to
fund it properly.
And have an end goal at the end of it is to achieve.
And do you think there'll be pushback from our clients, our people that we're actually wanting to put it into? Because, some people, apart from your hypochondriac family member there, will not likely visit A&E or a doctor's unless they absolutely need to. So we only see them at the point of that complexity, at that point of need. How do we get to them? Where do we find these people that are on the cusp of being that, but we could prevent that from happening?
I think there's a lot of care out there, but there's also a lot of unpaid carers that are family support.
Absolutely.
So it's about things like the podcasts and getting all the information out there. Somehow, somebody knowing somebody else that's then spoken about it.
It's the awareness,
isn't
it?
It's people learning and then people talking about it that will eventually get to everybody.
Well, we've done tech-focused workshops throughout the south down in my area, haven't we? And those sort of things we could do in the community that make people aware of what technology is out there for them, and what it helps to support them. Some people don't even have an iPad or a phone, as we said earlier. It's making them aware of the simple things of the connectivity to someone, and then just a normal landline, even with a dial-up, which some people have.
I feel like we are kind of moving as a society towards a more preventative approach anyway. I mean, there is a lot of emphasis on health and keeping yourself well, and being able to kind of stop yourself from getting, and actually the emphasis back on yourself. Because, my grandparents' day, doctor knows best. You would go to the doctor for everything, and if they told you to rub a mushroom on it and run around in a circle 3 times, you would do it because that's what the doctor said.
My great-nan she was prescribed a sherry a day, and she used to have it at 5 a.m. in the morning when she got up.
Right.
Absolutely. Whereas nowadays, nowadays we do tend to question these, and we do a bit of research ourselves, and we use technology to Google our symptoms, which can be beneficial in some cases, can be negative in others.
Yeah, but some symptoms can go across so many different things these days, and then you have people that look into one thing and into another, where you could end up having like 20 different diseases by the end of the day just by Googling something. So it's not really the best thing to look at, and I think that's what people...
Yeah. But I think that's in some ways a positive, though, because it means we're taking the emphasis back on ourselves. We're trying ourselves to be more proactive. And if we, as a culture, as a group of people, are trying to prevent ourselves from coming unwell, and we're more aware of what could make us unwell, maybe we'll be more willing to engage in this type of technology and use it moving forward. So one last point before we close. Is there anything else that you want to say around prevention or the move from prevention, Kat? To prevention?
I think the future of technology-enabled care especially is lying with the anticipation of the need and not the reacting into a crisis afterwards. And I think that's where we need to make everyone focus and just spread the awareness of, that it's there to help and support people, and we need to look at prevention more than reaction.
And Vic, what do you think as sort of care providers, people that actually get out there and see, what do you think actions could you guys take?
Like I said, I think there's a lot around teaching the staff, and they're all really proactive, and we get lots of messages every day saying we're not sure on this, or they don't quite look well. So to have that data just feeding through that will automatically pick up if somebody's not well or dehydrated, like we've said.
I guess it's embracing that as well. It's that new way of working potentially, that somebody in your office comes in the morning, has a look through the kind of list of people that you've got tech with, highlights concerns, makes that effort to ring the carer to say, and I'm sure you do that if you've had a call, but you've not got the data to kind of show you that from everybody.
And care doesn't, we work up till 10, we tend to start at 7 in the morning. There's all that time through the evening. Even in our supported living, we have a lot of sleep-ins.
Absolutely.
Things do happen through the night, and to be able to pick up, like you're saying, that data in the morning, have a quick look through, and then be like, right, you have it in care homes, because you normally have people that are awake with nurses that are on, they do a handover.
Absolutely.
We don't get that, we have to rely on our technology. So to have that as well coming through, and when the people aren't there, or the people are sleeping, will be a lot. We have people that have seizures through the night, what that means for them, what it means for their body, what it means of how they're going to feel the next day. It will really impact on how the carer then can put things in place to help that person.
And I guess the complexity of people that you're caring for now is probably a lot more than it used to be, and those people that would have normally gone into some sort of care home are actually being maintained in the independence in the community now. So your level of kind of need, and as you say, in normal circumstances they would have been monitored 24/7, and you get that, but you have those gaps, don't you, with care?
And I think it works the other way as well. It's all about living well at home.
Absolutely.
But when they go into hospital and then they come out, their needs are normally changed, but they've had that 24/7 support in hospital, and then we're only putting 4 visits in at half an hour. That could be double up, but that's it throughout the day. There's nobody else monitoring anything else, and there's no, like you said, with being the OT, there's nobody there enabling them to have the time to be able to do that.
We were saying that yesterday, weren't we? Because we was at an event yesterday, and I used to work in reablement in the NHS, so it was getting those people ready to go back into their community and into their own homes. But it then depended on what size package of care they were getting to what we did at night for them, and actually sometimes we were processing them backwards with the care that we'd just got them ready for. So it feels like it's really horrible to do, but actually there's no one going in at night, so we're now not going to help you at night. So it was a very contradictory, and actually it pulls on you as a person not to be able to support them when actually that's what they need.
And I think that's a massive one, on pulling on the carers that are already out there doing doing all these extra bits that we do because we know that they need it. But we have to stick to care plans, and you only have your set time.
But having preventative technology in, you can then identify they're up at 5-6 times at night. That's not their normal pattern. So
why?
That's it. That's the why. So then
we can automatically look into it and then stop them from not knowing that, and then end up in hospital, like you say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's really been a really great conversation. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.